Today we've been joined by Hawthorn AFLW youngster Mackenzie Eardley. Mackenzie, thanks for coming on.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a bit about yourself, what type of player you are, and the type of player you are, and what you model your game off.
So I'm a defender, probably more so a key back. Tend to take the key forwards. So I pride myself on my intercepting, defending, my aerial work. And yeah, that's kind of what I try and do as a player. And I think when I really look at it, probably Darcy Moore is probably who I try and model my game on and try and be quite similar to him.
So you're in your second season now as a key defender. You played 12 games so far. How's the season been for you so far? Obviously, you had the concussion a few weeks ago, but you've been pretty happy with your season personally so far?
Yeah, I think being a second-year player, there's still not much you can kind of expect apart from just trying to get out there and finish games and get them done. Yeah, I think, as much as the season just goes on, you just want to be improving as a second-year player, so all you can really do. So I think from the games I've played this year, I think I'm pretty happy with how I'm progressing, for sure.
So when you had the concussion, when you were coming back, did it knock you back a little bit? Have any concerns coming back from a concussion, hoping that nothing like that would happen again, or did you just push along like it was another normal game, like that never happened?
I think having also had another concussion quite recently as well, so I've had two within the space of, a few months. I think there was probably a little bit of hesitation coming back in. You just never know. You never expect it. You never know when it's going to happen, but it is something that the more you worry about it and stress about it, the more likely it probably is to happen again. So you kind of just have to keep going and continue on and just hope that it won't happen.
So we'll backtrack to when you were drafted in pick 6 in 2022. How was that draft night like? And how was the nights before? Were you nervous? Did Hawthorn give you an indication it could happen? Did you speak to a few other clubs? How did that process go for you in the night?
So I'd spoken to a few clubs in Melbourne. I think I'd had the indication of going earlier in the draft rather than later. But yeah, Hawthorn hadn't given me anything in regards to we will pick you, we won't pick you, or anything like that. So it was really, still a surprise on the night to where I was going to end up. But being there was surreal. Like, it was a whole different experience. It's not what you think it would be like. Your name's on the screen at Marvel and you're walking around and you're with all the other talent. And I think just getting picked up with the girls that I got picked up with, I couldn't be happier. Like Jazz Fleming, Charlotte Basker and Bridie Hipwell, like being there with them that night probably made it more special.
Who's one of the toughest opponents you've had to line up on so far in your 2 years so far?
Oh, there's been a few. Definitely a wide variety, but I reckon out of all of them, I've had the hardest time on Bonnie Toogood from Essendon. I think she's so far, I think one of the smartest forwards I've come up against. So she really knew how to use my disadvantages to her advantage.
She's a very good player. What's a week to week of an AFLW player like? Obviously in the AFL, it's more full on, more months and time into it. What's it like for a week for you personally?
So during the week, we've got 2 main training sessions, and this obviously will vary depending on when our games are. But we will have a recovery session as well at the start of the week, 2 main sessions, and then we'll have our captain's run, which will depend whether we're travelling, where we are, what day we're playing. And then, so we probably have more off time in season than in the pre-season, but the time we do spend at the club is definitely more full on. It's quite jam-packed.
I can imagine. The Swans this week in Sydney, obviously they've won 3 games. They've been a side that just come from not winning a game in their first season last year to starting to be improving this year. New girls have been a very similar trend this year. How do you think you're going to go against the Swans on Saturday?
I think it will be a very tough challenge. They've come in leaps and bounds this year. I think no one quite expected it. They've done well in the off season. They've trained really hard, so they've become a really good team, and I think it will be a challenge to beat them, but something we're very excited for. We've obviously improved a lot, and we've got a lot of stuff to show compared to when we played them last year, so it will be very exciting.
So did you see early in the season Danielle Ponter's goal from the centre square at Icon Park?
I did, yes.
would there be any teammate that you feel or yourself that would be able to try and replicate that, or people that think they'd be a chance of that?
I think if you'd ask my team, they probably hope that I could, but whether I probably could, that's another story. There's getting to be a few big kicks in the competition now, so I think there's a lot of players that could probably pull it off if they really tried.
That was a very, very impressive goal. What's the best individual game you've ever played in so far?
I think I'd say against Port Adelaide last year. It was my last full game last year that I played, and due to injury, and I think I just really felt confident in myself that game, and kind of became the player that I was in my junior leagues, just at a higher level. So I think my intercepting game was on, my kicking was great. Like, I felt the most confident in that game, and I think it paid off.
That's good. If you could poach one player from any other club, who would you poach and why?
Oh, that's a tough question. I feel like I'd definitely go for a key forward of some sort.
Yeah. Could it be Bonnie Toogood? Then you wouldn't have to match up on her only at training then.
Yeah, maybe. A key forward would be helpful to have it, to practice on at training. So, yeah, probably a Bonnie Toogood, or maybe even an Eden Zanker from Melbourne.
Who do you feel is the best player this year and will end up winning the best and fairest award at the end of the season for Hawthorn and for competition overall?
I hope in the competition Kate Hall wins it. I think she's had a really strong season coming into being captain and backing it up with how she's been playing. I think she's got a fair good crack at it. It'll be her or Jasmine Garner, I reckon, so far.
Good choices.
In our team, I hope Emily Bates wins it. I know that's the expectation, but she's really just come in and just shown why she's one of the best in the competition, and led the way amazingly. So I really think she deserves it this year.
Who loves the limelight, the intention, and the camera and just can't get enough of the camera at the Hawks or anywhere else that you feel?
I feel like Mattia Breed loves a bit of the camera. Doesn't mind it. Or Sophie Locke as well. Those two put together, they love a bit of the camera.
Dangerous combination for the camera. Have you heard of AFLW Fantasy, and do you play it or know about it?
Yes, so I'm actually not involved in it, so I haven't signed up this year, but we do have a team competition running that most of the team are in. I'm just not doing it because I'm forgetful, and I would forget each week to put in a new team. So,
who would pick themselves? Who would pick themselves in that if they had, even if they're a regular player or they're a player on the edge of the team or someone that's not even played a game yet, they would automatically pick themselves, forgetting their price and everything around it?
I feel like Anya might. I reckon she backs herself enough every week to get some points.
Well, she got a couple of goals on the weekend against the Saints, so that would have been good for this week. Does anyone check their stats as soon as the game's over? That just has to go to the AFL as soon as you get on your phones after the game or whenever that is, and then go, yep, I've got to check the stats or compare against each other?
No, that is something I've noticed from being younger to coming into the AFL. It's not all about the stats. People won't go straight onto their phones and check their stats, and it's great to be around, actually.
That's good. Who would you say is Beck Goddard's coach's pet?
Tilly.
The captain. Good option. Jenny, just one final question. Appreciate coming on, Mackenzie. Any outside of footy interests that you have?
I love, sports-wise, I love netball. I've loved netball since I was a kid, so that's definitely a passion of mine. But my life's pretty footy-focused. But then there's also my dog, which I spend a lot of time with. Probably too much.
Mackenzie, I really appreciate coming on. All the best for the rest of the season, and see how the season goes. And hopefully you can progress and have a good season. So all the best.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's been great.